speaker is Dr. Charanjit Sehgal, who again has decades of experience in the industry. You all know him. You all know him well. I'm not going to introduce him further. I've prevailed on him not to actually give his presentation simply because we're going to run out of time for questions. And instead, I'm going to ask him two specific questions which fascinate me. So the one is how to protect the combination of two known drugs. Is that a second medical use? Is that something else? And I'd also like him to just expand on what the situation would be in the US as the biggest market for drugs in first world countries.
Thank you very much for according an opportunity to speak to such an august audience. At the same time, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to my earlier speakers who have shared everything in respect of compulsory licensing, saving me from saying anything. Instead, I am rather giving an opportunity to audience to ask more questions to know more. At the same time, share what has not been discussed and disclosed, and share that knowledge with us to enrich our knowledge on that particular aspect. As regards compulsory licensing, I would like to touch upon, apart from whatever has been said, how it came into being and why it came into being. That is a very, very important factor. As you know, Article 27 of the TRIPS agreement, at the same time, all the WTO member states, they have been meeting and they have been telling, we must respect IPR of each member state. We must respect IPR of each member state in their respective jurisdictions. That is how the need of TRIPS agreement came into being. That is how they decided how to do it. We must have some uniform policy applicable and to be practiced by each member state so that there is no discrimination, there is no discretion. Accordingly, TRIPS agreement was drafted. In TRIPS agreement, Article 27 says, every member state has to respect IPR of each member state in their respective jurisdiction. And they set timeline. They provided TRIPS agreement which provides guidelines to enact legislation in the respective member states at the same level to bring in uniformity. Complying those guidelines, India also had to enact legislation, and timeline was decided by 1st Jan 1995 to enact, and then implementation 1st Jan 2005. In India, let me tell you, there was Section 5, which was barring patenting a drug molecule in India. Drug molecule as a product was not permitted to be patented in India. Only process patents could be filed and granted. Therefore, first thing which Indian government had to do was to take away Section 5. And TRIPS agreement, there was a discussions among member states telling UN Human Rights Commission, they in their very specific document says, access to medicine is a fundamental right under human rights. At the same time, Human Rights Commission says 1/3 of the population of the world do not have access to essential medicines. Please note the word essential medicines. These matters were discussed at length in WTO meetings. And they said that we have to evolve and come out with a strategy so that this aspect can be addressed. Accordingly, they introduced Article 31. They said, under Article 31, you have a right to take necessary action and decision so that this issue can be addressed. In paragraph 5 of Article 31, they said, okay, you can consider compulsory licensing for the medicine which are not available for some reason in a specific jurisdiction to give compulsory licensing and make it available. But this was only for domestic use. Please, paragraph F says only for domestic use. It cannot be for business purpose to export to other countries. As because that's the reason I'm requesting everybody that you have left make my job very easy. And then paragraph 5 was said, and then in 2001 in Doha, there was a meeting. There it was said that Paragraph 5 says, because there are many countries which are underdeveloped, who neither have an expertise, not infrastructure to make drugs, essential drugs. They said in that case, temporarily under paragraph 5, this could be made in addition to using at domestic level, it can be exported to only those specific locations. In 2001 in Doha, this aspect of paragraph 5, paragraph F was made permanent in TRIPS agreement. That is how it came into being. Now in India, they have to start implementing in 2005. They had taken up section 5. But at that time, many generic companies, they were already manufacturing drugs which are protected by patent. Though, as it was not rather applicable in India, they were making it only for Indian market. Therefore, this agreement law provides a rather facility to them, those who are already making. Patent owner had to give them compulsory license under obligation. It's not that they have to ask for it or they have to go to the patent office requesting to get a compulsory license. It was a part of the law itself that they automatically by default had a compulsory license for those products which they had been making. Apart from that, as it has already been stated, why and where and who. As regards who, it's the government, not the patent owner who has to give it. On what terms and condition, patent owner doesn't have to decide. It's the government who has to decide. That is the way Madam Malti has very rightly said. If voluntary license is rather considered, they get a better royalty at their terms and condition. Before it is imposed on them by the government, which may be very little. You have got the slides? Presentation. There is one case study I would like to say, which in a very vivid manner illustrates those aspects. How otherwise they would have got 15%, 20%, they got only 2%. And this is how it came into being. And I'll take only that case study, one. Yeah. Because this is already done, why, who, etc., there's no point in going there. As Madam Malti has already stated, that first requirement is the patent must be working in that jurisdiction. That is a requirement under section 83. And every company who has a patent, they have to submit form 27 to patent office every year. Patent, that form 27 makes it necessary that they have to set how they have used that patent during this year and volume generated in respect of finances, etc. Why it's not going? Oh, I'm going back. Why it's not going? Yeah, arrow I'm pointing. Now, there has been a case study. There was a patent for a drug by Bayer in India. That molecule was being sold and monthly expenses for a patient was huge. How much, that I will say. It's not going. Very slow. Yeah, I'm pressing this only. Again, it's going back. I don't know why. It will go now. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, this is the case study in India which happened. This Lexaver was a drug which was for the cancer, kidney cancer, and the monthly expenses for a patient was 2.8 lakhs per month. ये क्या हो रहा है? 2.8 lakhs. And NATCO had rather put an application for compulsory licensing. The first requirement for getting a compulsory licensing is that a licensee has to put in all out efforts to get a voluntary license. Unless and until, with the proof that he has tried, unless and until he is convinced and proving that aspect, he has to submit an application to the patent office. And then, and then they had done it. After that, the matter went to patent office. Patent office under compulsory licensing gives them all the opportunity to the patent holder to protect their case, to defend their case. They did it, and NATCO had said against 2.8 lakhs per annum, they will provide a drug which will be rather costing only 8,800 per month. See the difference. 2.8 lakh vis-a-vis 8,800 rupees. And to that, and also the patients. Quantity should also be sufficient quantity of the drug should also be available in the market. That is also requirement. Buyer said we are already doing it. It is there. We are manufacturing. We are importing in India. It is available. But it was only for specific number of patients per year. Not sufficient to meet the requirement of the Indian market. That is the primary requirement. Then buyer said, okay, to counter this, please don't give compulsory licensing. Instead, if somebody buys a drug for 1 month, we will give 3 months free to them. That also amounts to very high. At the same time, Cipla was already making this drug in India, and the case was ongoing. Then buyer said, Cipla is already making it, generic version. Why you want to give compulsory license to the NATCO? Judge said, that case does not pertain to licensing, that pertains to infringement. You have put up the case against Cipla for infringement of the patent, not for the compulsory licensing. We cannot mix this thing. They imagine 2% royalty. Patent office gave 7%, I think. They gave 6% royalty to buyer against compulsory licensing. If at all they had considered, they had been wise, they would have got maybe minimum 15% under voluntary license, looking at the volume and the price of the drug. The matter went to IPAB, they increased it to 7%. Then matter went to Supreme Court of India, they increased to 10%. This is the only case study of compulsory licensing in India. Thereafter, so many case studies, so many other things have been there. There was a much uproar in US government also on this issue. Big uproar in US government also. And they said, no, Indian patent law is not like this. If at all this is clear, TRIPS agreement provides a provision, matter can be escalated to dispute settlement board. There is a body in TRIPS, in the WTO, dispute settlement board. If at all any member state feels that our interests are not being protected, we are being impacted by this thing, that matter can be taken there and it can be decided there and then. As Malti has already stated, 92 section in this case, potential licensee do not have to apply for license. It's the government who takes a call, because Article 31 Paris Convention, paragraph 5, they say what are the bases on which they have to consider that's a national emergency. TRIPS agreement does not provide any reason when to and how to declare. Paragraph 4 and 5 of Paris Convention says it is an individual respective jurisdiction to decide what is the national emergency. Under that, Indian government has provided a section 92 under which they can take any patent for compulsory licensing. Whosoever is interested, they just have to start making it. They do not have to go to the patent owner. In this, patent owner do not have right to defend their case, as under section 84. There has been many cases, like Madam, you had rather spoken very nicely on this green technology in the morning. As you know, in India, the current government, they do have these aspects on priority on their agenda. As Professor Gudarav has rightly said, one of the reasons of compulsory licensing can be improvement on the technology. If at all, innovation is a continuously ongoing process. There is a technology. Anybody who wants to improve upon, he has to use the technology. Legally, it's infringement. Legally, it's infringement. For that, there is a provision of cross-licensing or compulsory licensing. There, compulsory licensing comes into being. In green technology, I'm very sure a lot of work is being done worldwide with big companies. And they are going to file patents, barring their competitors not to move further in that direction. In that case, use of Section 92 by Indian government will play a very, very vital role, and they must ponder over it and find ways and means and do that. That is one of the things which will accelerate development in respect of green energy in India. He said about US. As TRIPS agreement makes it mandatory for all the member states to enact legislation on this aspect. In US, and I tell you, when this thing came into being, 33 European countries, they pledged, we will use compulsory licensing on medical field only for export, not for domestic use. 33. At the same time, US was very apprehensive. In British government, when they have to enact legislation, they had been taking up the matter only at the end of the session, parliament session. So the matter is not discussed and it comes to an end. Twice it happened. In US also, same thing was happening. In US, earlier compulsory licensing was under USC 28. Patent law is USC 35. There has been a wonderful case study in US, Eastman Kodak. Against, I'm forgetting the name of the other company. It pertains to Xerox machine. Eastman Kodak was not providing part which was required to the other company for their business, nor they were giving compulsory licensing. Matter went up to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court made it essential, granted compulsory licensing to the party, but that was under USC 28, Sherman anti-competitive law, but not due to the patent. However, to comply with TRIPS agreement, US also had to enact legislation. Therefore, they entered Section 158 under USC 35, which gives rights to only the Secretary Health to give compulsory licensing for manufacturing a patent product for exports to developing country, not for domestic use. So now I would rather, as Shikha has spoken about, there are many case studies since they were time consuming, and since they have already, yeah. When you talk of second use of a known drug, second use which might be inherent in the drug molecule, but it's not known. For that, one has to do a lot of research, create clinical trial data, and then say it can be used for that symptom. Lot of research. It's not known at all. But in India, second use is not patentable, which I think is not. Now, recent case has been. Now, I am rather comparing this law with another aspect, combination of drugs, known drugs. That is a second use of known drug, which is not known at all, which is not novel, neither inventive. Which is not novel means it's not known. And doing that is an invention is required. Second use is there are two molecules, valsartan and sacubitril. These are together used for heart failure. When heart failure patient, he given both the drugs as separate drugs to a patient, and it addresses that issue. I don't want to name the company. This has a multiple functionality, chemical functionality. It has got a ammonia group. A person at graduate level, a chemistry knowing person at graduate level knows that it has got a chemical functionalities, and also when it is a hydrate is made, water is there, which provides a bridge to unite them. They can be easily linked to them, not by covalent bond, ionic bond, but hydrogen bonding. They can be combined together. Company made a drug which got a patent in 38 countries in the world. It's a very high value drug. In India also the patent has been filed. When a second use is not allowed, which is not novel, which is novel and inventive, how this, they know what the functionality of each drug. They know functionality of each drugs. They know when it is combined, it can be combined together, very simple. When it is administered, they separate. They act as a prodrug because their action is different, is not at the same site. You say one is antagonist and another is neutral nephrodease inhibitor. They are acting at the different sites in the body. And this combined molecule acts as a prodrug for them into the body. How a molecules already known, functionality already known, how they are made already known, but what they make by this, that's not known, can be patented, whereas second use cannot be patented. This has a more, that has a more inventive rather feature than this. Recently, this patent has been gotten in India also. The matter currently is in Delhi High Court.
The division bench.
No, because it was with single judge earlier. Single judge had stayed the ground. They said this must be referred back to the patent office, but with a different controller, with the condition, different controller. However, innovator company, I'll come to that again. Innovator company, they appealed this decision of single judge and to the division judge. Division judge stayed the single judge order, and the matter is posted for 27th February this month to the division bench. And let me tell you one thing more. When you talk of combination of two known molecules, University of Florida and University of Michigan, they have got a patent on a composition, but mind you, it's not a product, but the product is same. They say supramolecular synthon. When you say supramolecular synthon, means combining two molecules having different chemical functionality together into one. Supramolecule is already known in the prior art. And University of Michigan and Florida had put up a case against Novartis on this for infringement in US federal court now. It has gone to federal court now for infringement under doctrine of equivalence. Saying, though molecule is not same, supramolecule is different. But that supramolecule, which they have disclosed in composition, is very similar to molecules having acid functionality, base functionality. As hydride, they have been combined together. And how, with this prior art, with this information, which creates obviousness, still allows that patent in US also. So thank you very much for patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Sehgal. I'm conscious